How's it going, guys? Connor from Running Warehouse, and I'm here with Danny Orr, General Manager of Performance Running at New Balance. Danny, we got a special shoe here. We saw the SC Trainer not too long ago. You got it to me early. That over max stack shoe, really unique option on the New Balance line. Now we got version 2. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I feel like we need to take a step back and talk about how great version 1 was, right? And I think even for ourselves, we've just been blown away by the overall response to that shoe. Runners around the world have just warmed to it. We dropped it first in Australia and we got like real insight into just how good it was going to be, like just to the general market. And I think we've just seen it go like this and go like this and go like that in a unique, really interesting space within the training environment. And I think what that allowed us to do was really think about this in a way of how do we keep the special sauce that is in that original trainer idea and just make it maybe a little bit more applicable to a broader market, you know, bringing down the stack heights just a little bit. Putting a new foam in it has allowed us to maintain the performance, even though we brought it down just a little bit. And I think that's allowed us to solve for probably the biggest ask of the Trainer V1 is how do we get it just a little bit lighter? And at an ounce, just over an ounce lighter than where we've been before, let's put it in a really, really special space that we think runners are just gonna love.
So let's talk a little bit more about the midsole. I know when I got that first pair, we're well over 40 millimeters, and it did feel like you're up on stilts a little bit. Very propulsive, springy feel. Now we're down closer to 40 millimeters. Are we just under that?
Just under what would be considered the legal limit. And I think the biggest thing for the foam is we've brought the density down considerably. So we've been able to lower the density of the foam by about a third. We've maintained the overall hardness of the foam, but bringing that density down has really allowed us to put the shoe on a diet and get us lighter than we've ever been before in this space.
And with version 1, it was all about that energy arc design, that really unique carbon plate. Are we looking at a very similar plate? Was there any changes made?
Correct. The plate's very, very much the same. Same material, same level of stiffness. Obviously with the heights coming down, there's less material to bend. So maybe overall it feels like the shoe might be a touch more flexible, but the materials in that sense are exactly the same.
And from an outsole perspective, looks pretty similar. We still have that little protective piece to keep the carbon plate.
I want to break the plate, you know?
That is the worst thing.
Sure.
And the final piece, geometries. Are we still looking a very similar geometry, a pretty similar ride to that last version?
Yeah, and I think what's critical for us is maintaining some separation from the elite, right? So when you talk about the rubber or you talk about the geometry, we've definitely approached it from more of a training environment, right? How do we increase the stability just a little bit? How do we maximize some of the durability just a little bit? And I think if you were turning the elite over right now, you'd very quickly recognize where the differences are from what is more training versus true racing and kind of rocket ship performance, as it were, in that elite. You know?
Yeah, and when you talk about performance training, you can't forget about the upper, and this is going to be a little bit more built up than that really, really stripped down elite version. Tell us about the upper, any changes?
Yeah, and again, just looking to add an element of comfort into it, right? So while we still want to make sure that it sits in that tempo training, lightweight kind of second skin space, as it were, the upper mesh is just a little bit thicker, right? There's just a little bit more, again, built-in structure, increased durability, just a little bit more overall support from the upper package. But we're talking about small elements here, right? I think we want the runners to be able to seamlessly transition between those two shoes. So from a last and from an overall fit standpoint, they're very, very similar with some true training kind of cues built into this one over and above that really stripped down elite.
Yeah. Well, some pretty big updates from V1 to V2. Still maintains a lot of those key philosophies, but I think that reduced stack height, the lighter weight, really is going to be a great option for tempos, workout days. Some people probably will still use this for racing. It's going to be a versatile option. I even use that first version for a little bit of daily training. So I think it's going to come down to the individual runner. Last question I got for you. When can people get this shoe on their feet?
That's a good one. I think it's July of 2023.
We won't say any hard numbers, but let's say summer 23.
Towards the middle of the year. And I think, you know, the last comment from my side is I think you're totally right. And I think where this shoe is really going to win from a versatility standpoint is we're going to see that runner who runs 40 miles a week be able to run 45 because they're recovering better, they're enjoying it more, and they're doing more in this, or they're able to do more in this than they would do for a kind of more traditional training shoe. And I'd say the same thing about a kind of couch to 5K runner. yes, there might be some price concerns, but as you think about the experience they're going to have, the ability to run more frequently, the ability just to enjoy running more, I feel like this shoe is in such a great sweet spot to hit both of those consumers and kind of everybody else in between as a training shoe.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for a carbon-plated racer that really can do a lot of things, you can find it here with the SC Trainer V2. If you're looking to get it on your feet, you can find it very soon here at Running Warehouse.